Hi, everybody. I just want to let you all know we're having some technical difficulties. So this message is mainly for the people that can hear me online right now, but we're sorting this out. We're sorting this out and we'll start shortly. All right, here we go. So thank you all for attending our digital marketing certificate. All right, so we have Primex, Accurate, and Colony Brands here today to tell us a little bit about how they use digital marketing in their companies. And for our divisional members of the week, we're going to get rolling. So come see me after and you guys can claim your prize. But from CMU, we have Jack, who always comes ready to work and has a great attitude, and Rafa, who's extremely dedicated to his work in social impact, especially around Pro Bono Week. So congratulations to these two guys. We'll give them a round of applause. Thank you. And now I'll hand it off to Andy.
All right, so before we do get started, I want to tease a competition opportunity that later on during the sign out, you can say, yes, I'm interested in participating, or no, I'm not. And so we've been asked as a chapter to work with the AMA Milwaukee professional chapter, who has a connection with the Zac Brown Band. For those of you that are familiar with the band, one of their members was diagnosed with ALS. And based on that, they started a foundation called Hop on a Cure. And so we're going to be helping out, promoting that foundation. There may be some stuff, I believe that the band is at Summerfest this summer. So if you decide to get involved and you're actively involved, there may be opportunities to go for free to the show. So again, if you are interested, I have more details that I'll share later on as far as a competition related to putting together a digital marketing strategy for Hop on a Cure. So maybe some of the stuff you'll pick up today will inspire your strategy. But without further ado, we're going to shift to having our partner companies talk a little bit about digital marketing. And so the way today's event is structured is, first of all, we have two guests from the Primex family of companies, which includes Primex, Accurite, and Clockit. And so we have Bill Boss and Ben Lan, that they're going to be up first and share a little bit about some of the key differences in terms of digital marketing strategy between a B2B and business. B2B is business to business, B2C is business to consumer. And I think they're also talking about selling on Amazon and other e-commerce platforms. And then we have Kevin from Colony Brands and Affiliates, which has a number of different retail brands. And he is in charge of e-commerce, I believe, is his current role. And he's going to talk a little bit about personalization as well as conversion rate optimization or different testing that occurs online. And then we'll have some panel questions at the end. So I'm going to turn it over to Bill and Ben first. And maybe while I'm switching over to your slides, you can give your own introduction and background, and then that'll give me some time to get those slides up.
Thank you, Andy. Good afternoon. I guess we get to talk for a little bit before we actually have to talk. So anyway, my name's Bill Boss, and I head up our product marketing and product management at the Primex family of companies focused on our consumer brands on Accurite and Clockit. But I have worked on the B2B side from a marketing perspective and also a product perspective as well. So give some insight into what we're doing and really talk about the differences between those two. And then as Andy mentioned, also kind of dive into some of the things that we do specifically around Amazon and e-commerce.
Hello. Hey, everybody. I'm Ben Land, e-commerce sales manager for the Accurite brand. Been there for 10 years on the 27th of this month. And it's really Andy and Jimmy who got me the internship with Primex. So owe a lot of what I've been able to accomplish to AMA and the advisors. Really started off doing just the digital marketing aspects of it, from pay-per-click to coding emails, social strategy, moved over to product management, moved back to marketing, and moved over to sales now. So I've kind of seen the whole spectrum of the business, and it's one of the benefits of some of the smaller local businesses is that you really get to see all the aspects and get experience throughout the entire business.
Okay, great. Well, let's jump right in. I'm going to talk first a little bit about just the differences between the businesses that we have at Primex and kind of set the stage a little bit for the B2B side and the B2C, right? So on the consumer side, we have the brand we're going to talk about today is Accurite. And Accurite does weather instruments, indoor, outdoor temperature monitoring, humidity monitoring, those types of things, but all consumer based, right? So for folks who want to put a weather station in their backyard, there's actually a lot of people who want to do that. By trade, I'm actually a meteorologist. That's not why I'm working for this company, but I used to be a meteorologist. I guess you always are once you are. But anyway, so we do weather stations are primary business, plus a lot of other things that we do. We do digital clocks and things like that. So you'll see some pictures of that on the background. Now on the B2B side for Primex, or Primex Wireless is what we call it, they're really focused on synchronized time solutions and also then monitoring solutions, like environmental monitoring solutions for education. We'll think schools, universities, things like that, that have synchronized time, right? The bell rings at a certain time, those types of things. And then also, that's even important in hospitals and things like that, you know, that as far as like giving medication, things like that, making sure that the time is always, you're doing it at the right time and you're keeping things on track there. The other thing for the monitoring is very much on the healthcare side. So think about hospitals that are monitoring temperatures in the OR, comfort for patient rooms. But most importantly, we monitor temperatures in like cryo environments and also refrigerators because many medications need to be refrigerated. And we all learned about with COVID vaccines that sometimes things have to be stored at very, very cold temperatures, right? So that was a solution that we have as well. Now, if you look at the two websites that we have up here, they seem very similar, but they're actually very, very different as far as what their intentions are. And on the Accurite side, we always have some type of promotion, banner, something going on at the very top of our website, right? And we're driving people through that in various ways, primarily through advertising that we're doing. And that's something that people expect on the consumer side, right? They're always looking for a deal, right? Who was the last time somebody bought something full price? I don't know. Maybe I did because I just buy something fast and I don't worry about it. But people's always looking for a deal, right? Now on the Primex side, we actually have a deal running right now, which is kind of odd for us to be doing because usually these are enterprise type deals and you're negotiating contracts and that with the hospitals and the schools. But this is a big time for synchronized time, no pun intended. But daylight savings time is an important time for us presenting the value of our synchronized time solution. And you're like, well, why is that important? Well, imagine a hospital that has 1,500 clocks. And now it's daylight saving time. It's like, well, what are you going to do? You got to change those clocks, roll them forward, go back, whatever you need to do. And our solutions automatically do that. It seems very minor, but if you talk to facilities folks at hospitals, they'll talk about the effort that goes in, just man hours, to change clocks every year. So having that just happen for them automatically is a huge deal. So we usually do run some specials this time of year. But generally, the website for Primex Wireless is very just informational, right? Because it's a different type of sale and purchase, and we'll talk more about that in just a second. So if you think about the difference between consumer B2C and B2B from a kind of a digital marketing and just marketing fundamentals overall, there's a couple of things to think about. And from a shared perspective, and some of these are like, pretty apparent, pretty easy to think about. It's certainly knowing your target market, position and pricing, all the things you know about, and communicating the product attributes, right, for value and demand and all those types of things. But when you really start to think about it beyond that, you're looking at a very different type of a purchase experience and a buy-in experience, right? Your consumers tend to be very kind of emotional with their purchases, right? And the types of things that you're doing is kind of tapping into that emotion in some way, shape, or form, right? Why does someone want to buy a weather station? Well, there's lots of different reasons, but we know through personas and things like that, that sometimes people do that just because they're very interested in the weather, but they also like to talk about gadgets. One of our main personas on Accurite is who we call Chatty Chuck, right? He's over 55, maybe a little higher income, might even be retired, and he likes his gadgets, right? So he is very much into buying a weather station. And sometimes they do this and they purchase on the consumer side very much kind of from an impulse perspective. So the messaging that you're giving them, right, and how you're reaching out to them, you're really focused on that impulse buy, right? So you are presenting them a promotion, right? Hey, it's 15% off, or it's $25 off if you spend over 100, things like that, whatever it might be. That you're always trying to put a deal in front of them. They're like, yeah, okay, I'm going to take that deal. On the B2B side, it's very, very different. Very, very different. So many times it's a long cycle. It's a long sales cycle. Some of our Primex Wireless business, it can be 2 years that you're working with somebody. Sometimes you get a deal done, but then you don't deliver anything for months and months and months because they're building a hospital, right? So things like that, it's just a totally different environment than what we deal with. So, and when people are making a decision on a B2B side, while emotions will come into it, they come into it in a different way. They come into it from a way that I don't want to lose my job by spending $250,000 on some solution for my hospital, right? No one wants to do that, right? So they want to make sure it's very good. So the emotion is, I don't want to lose my job, right? Or I want to keep the respect of my fellow employees and those types of things. That's the emotional side of it. But outside of that, if you're in a B2B sales opportunity, it's always going to be about facts and information, right? And trying to be objective and doing the analysis of what they want to do, right? It's a very calculated decision in their mind. If you ever spend a lot of time with them, there's that emotional side as well. So what you're trying to do is lower risk for them, right? On the B2B side, you're lowering risk. So you're giving them, maybe you're giving them white papers, you're giving them referrals, things like that. You're trying to make them feel good about it. Different than the consumer side, because they're looking at the pictures and the videos and how people are using it. That's going to look great in my backyard. Those types of things. It's very, very different in how they do that. So on the sales side of it all, the funnel can look very, very much the same, right? But the types of activities that you're going to be doing on one side or the other, from a timing perspective, can be very different. As an example, let's talk about advertising. Advertising on the B2B side can be very much focused on lead generation, right? What I mean by that is that you're trying to find those people who are high quality leads, right? They're actually shopping for your solution. They're looking for it. You want to identify as many of those as possible and do that. So it's all about lead gen. Why is it lead gen? Because you're going to have a salesperson do further qualifications, right? For them, right? Whether they came to your site or wherever you got them in, from a digital marketing perspective, there's going to be further qualification and needs analysis, right? And sometimes you don't even get there on the sales funnel. What I mean by get there is actually identify that lead until they're already down almost to intent. That's one of the things that's really changed on the B2B side over the last, say, 10 years or so, because there's so much information out there, right, that you put on your website, go through digital marketing, everything else, that they can know a lot about you before you ever talk to them. So you have to make sure they're learning about you and the way you want them with your messaging. Sometimes it's messaging that you send out, whether that's through email or whatever else, right? That kind of builds upon itself, right? They want to understand the overall solution, and you're giving them different reasons for why this is important for them. Now, on the B2C side, if you think about advertising, many times you're wanting to capture them because they're already in that search for information. And many times search for information means they're kind of ready to buy. You know, we've all learned to make purchase decisions very, very quickly on the consumer side, right? You think about the last time you bought something online and, you know, let's say it was less than, you know, $25, all right? How much time did you spend actually researching and doing those things? Because you could research forever for something that costs you $20. But there's that certain time frame where you're like, oh yeah, I'm good enough, right? I could spend all day doing this, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to buy that one, right? So the advertising side and getting them to make sure that they're considering you, it's not just advertising, it's also SEO and everything else, right? So when they start doing a Google search or they go to Amazon, you got to make sure that you're firing on all cylinders at that point and bringing them into the house. So, and that whole B2C funnel, right, can be 20 minutes from the time, depending on what they're buying, right? It can be 20 minutes with what's going on there. And then the B2B side, of course, very, very long. So the types of activities you do in different times is very, very important. We'll talk a little bit more towards the end about the role of e-commerce on the B2B side, because that's something that's also very much changing as well. So I'm going to stop my part. I'm going to turn it over to Ben.
Flipping over to what we're doing with the Accurite brand on online in general. Something that's become apparent since COVID is you can't get married to the idea of Amazon. They'll likely be the leader in your online sales for your business, but you can't have all of your eggs in one basket. So what we saw in COVID was we really need a strong, diversified portfolio of who you're selling to online, whether it's on marketplaces, your own direct-to-consumer website, other outlets like that. I think it was March or April of 2020, Amazon halted all purchase orders from us. So we sell directly to Amazon. We're not FBA, we're not a third-party seller on the marketplace. I think they halted orders for a solid 8 weeks. So if you have budgets of a couple $1 million a month for Amazon and they don't order, and you don't have any other place to sell your products, you have some massive issues. So what we kind of learned over the last few years was get Amazon in the best position you can with your marketing and take those learnings to the Walmart.com of the world, the Kohl's.com of the world. And Amazon is really first to market with making analytics and self-service tools as far as running promotions, doing A/B tests, all those types of things. They're really the front runners in giving the vendors or the sellers the information they need to make decisions. So what we've really done over the past few years was take the learnings from Amazon, get it as close to perfect as you can, and implement those optimizations to all of your other customers and really build out a robust e-commerce strategy. Another trend that we've been seeing is all of our retail partners from Walmart to Home Depot to Lowe's, everyone wants the Amazon treatment. Really what businesses have given Amazon as far as attention in how much time they spend on A+ content, optimizing images, bullet points, they want that type of attention. So there has been a major shift on all of these traditionally brick and mortar retailers that they've been very slow out of the gates. They really didn't prioritize their .com as far as selling. That has been a massive shift over the past 2 years where they are investing incredible amounts of money. And what used to be a nice to have, like A+ content or, the pretty images down the page, it's now mandatory. They want 360 images. They want videos on every product. And along with that, they also want more money. Everyone wants 1-day, 2-day shipping now, and that comes back to the business. So the message to take away from here is similar to the last slide. Amazon is always going to be the first to market in terms of what's best in class marketing, what else does the customer want to see, and take those same learnings to your additional customers outside of Amazon. One of the other takeaways is use the data that Amazon gives you. It'll make your head spin until you kind of break it down. So what are the important things for marketing on Amazon? You need to know what people are searching for. So Amazon has years and years of data for your products, for every other product online. You can search by your competitor's product and see what are the keywords that customers are searching for, and they end up clicking on my competitor's product. So you can use those keywords to redo your bullets, to add them into titles, and also just simply see what are customers searching for my product. How are they searching for my product right now? You can identify different use cases for those things and really build out targeted keyword lists. Again, take that data from Amazon, implement that onto Walmart, to Kohl's, to Target. Another interesting piece from the Amazon data perspective is they also have a market basket analysis, which will show you what are customers buying my product with. And that will also help you identify, for example, this item here that there's no way you can read. It is a simple indoor thermometer, shows you temperature and humidity. So things that we typically see purchased with it are dehumidifier accessories in the middle of summer or humidifiers in winter. The other product that we typically sold with our item is things for hydroponics, indoor growing. We've seen a lot of activity with the cannabis crowd. So you can implement learnings from the data and show your product in images and update your bullet points to really talk to the consumer. So you can kind of identify who your consumer is, what the persona is, build out that profile so that you can better market to them. And then another aspect that Amazon is pretty good at is they've made it very easy to test content on your product pages. So very simple to set up an A+ page and also set up a B version of it. I'm going to change out that image, or I'm going to change how we talk about this feature, what the benefit is. And over the course of, I think it was 8 weeks, they'll give you a pretty solid estimate of, by implementing version A over version B, you could make another 20 grand, or you could sell another 2,000 units over this period. So the takeaway here is you need to be constantly testing, because there is no one size fits all strategy for Amazon. Your content is never going to be perfect, but you can make incremental progress over time to really lengthen the longevity of how long your product is ranking on Amazon, how well it sells. And then really this is, a lot of these takeaways are from some of the top CEOs in the digital marketing space. Is really take a look at your content. How are you doing today? What hasn't been touched in 2 years? This is something that likely every business is seeing is, oh geez, that product is still out there with that image, or we haven't even added keywords to those bullet points. It's all about the incremental progress. Getting your target keywords, optimizing, go back. All right, maybe next month we're going to address the images on the page. We need a new video. We got better at Photoshop. We got a new digital designer. Let's get that stuff updated. So it's about doing the best you can and getting it out there. Don't wait and got the bullet points. I got a new description. I got new images. I got video. Launch them as you get it done, because you're never going to be done. Next. And then these are just some tools that we use mostly on a daily basis. One of the largest Amazon assistant tools, and I think even Walmart.com these days, is a product called Helium 10. It's something that you can sign up for a free trial today. It's really interesting how they make it easy on you. So let's say you want to write new marketing content, or you need to crank out some new bullets. Going back to, we've already looked at how do you grab keywords for how people are searching for your product or competitor's product. Simply paste it up in a box on the left side. You got your bullet points on the right side. As you're typing them, it'll start crossing off the keywords so that you can see, did I implement all the keywords that I've been targeting? Did I implement the right keywords? They have a color scale for kind of the search volume you're seeing. And then some of the other tools that we've also utilized are things like Camel, which shows you the price history of any product on Amazon as far back as you can go. So it's not only useful from a digital marketing perspective to see, are we competitive in the market? You can also use it as a consumer. Is this actually a deal? It shows it's 20% off, but what was the price a month ago? So just some things to take away if you do want to dig into them further.
Okay, so how about you? Which one do you think you are up here, right? A lot of these probably cross over as far as your affinities and the things that you like to do. So, you know, you can be fast on your feet and be very much in B2B as well. But some of the things to think about, first of all, loving data. Maybe we think from a marketing perspective, you know, data is what it is, but every day I'm in spreadsheets more than I'm in anything, it seems like, when it comes to, we're looking at some piece of data. You know, you saw some examples that Ben was showing. You like to learn. You have to always be learning because things are constantly changing. And I think one thing that we forget about is you want to like to understand people, because at the end of the day, people are buying what you're selling, right? People are buying what you're marketing. I know that seems kind of like, oh yeah, Bill, that's great, thank you. But you do have to take that to that level and really think about that from your personas and those types of things. On the B2B side, right, it's probably more creative. You may be a little bit more flash and dash with what you're doing. Constantly changing, constantly experimenting. All those keywords that you might look at today, in 3 months, some of those might fall off and there's new ones on, right? So you constantly have to be looking at the information. and also understanding social media. Social media is much, much bigger on the B2C side, but B2B, it does have its play, depending on what it is that you're doing and what it is you're selling. On the B2B side, you have to be willing to really dig into a project or a product, right? Longer sales cycles. So you really have to understand the product and the buyer and the person and start connecting those dots for them, right, with your messaging. The sales teams will always think you do it better, but that's a conversation for another day. Anyway, the long-term planning is good on the B2B side, right? Because this is long-term messaging. It's like, what do I want to talk to them about today? What's that series of emails or series of messaging that you want to deliver to them? And then just understanding the logical side of it all and how people will think logically, decide emotionally on all of that. Well, just a few things to think about. And the other thing to think about on the B2C side with e-commerce, which kind of makes it a little bit more intriguing, is that more and more B2B companies are trying to transact in an e-commerce way. Not everything you sell is going to be able to do that. You're not going to sell some, $1 million medical device, with one click. Be nice, but with one click, it's probably not going to happen. But, so those types of things, though, getting people to actually purchase online on the B2B side, depending on what you're selling, is really, really gaining. And more B2B companies are doing that. So all the things that you know about the B2C side are like why people buy. Comes a little bit more the same, but slightly more complex for a B2B e-commerce buyer and how they approach things. So just something to think about. Okay, that's it.
All right. Thank you, Ben and Bill, for sharing some perspectives on B2C and B2B digital marketing. I know there are some questions online already, and maybe there's questions that the audience has, but we're going to hold those so that Kevin can talk about Colony Brands. And so, Kevin, if you want to give your background while I get your slides pulled up.
Everybody, there we go. Everybody hear me? So Kevin Geib from Colony Brands. Anybody familiar with Colony Brands? Couple of hands, okay. So we're based in Monroe, Wisconsin. We have the primary side of our business is there's only 10 up here. We actually have 11 direct-to-consumer e-commerce sites, also very heavy in direct mail catalog. So we have 3 apparel brands, Ashro, Midnight Velvet, Monroe, and Maine, and then 4 brands that are home and hard good type brands that are in the middle. Our largest brand is Montgomery Ward. The original catalog, direct mail catalog company, based originally out of Chicago, started in I'm going to get the date wrong, 60 something. So it's a very, very old brand. We acquired them in the early 2000s. And then we have 3 food brands. Swiss Colony is the original brand that started Colony Brands, the first direct mail catalog company selling food, so cheese, sausage, bakery items. And then we have also just a number of affiliate companies. I actually work for IMS, which is part of the Colony Brands portfolio, but a separate company because we do some work with outside clients as well. But our entire e-commerce team sits in IMS. Probably the most interesting one on here is we also have an aviation company. So we have a fleet of private jets, and people can charter flights, and we own a bunch, but we also will help companies, if a CEO owns a jet and they're not using it all the time, we'll actually rent that out for them, try and make them some revenue on it. Okay, so I'm the director of e-commerce at Colony Brands. I've been there 10 years. I started as a digital marketing analyst focused on PPC. in 2013. I had the most direct route into this career. I was a golf professional for 10 years before going into digital marketing. I'm a UW Whitewater alumni, and fun fact, I play in a brass band in New Glarus. So my team is broken out into a couple of different areas, and I wanted to bring this up because when you think about digital marketing, there's a lot of things in digital marketing and e-commerce that you can get involved in outside of, paid search, natural search, social. So we have a number of different teams. We have a web merchandising team who's focused on how our products are presented to our customers, how they're organized on the site, categorization, images, copy, etc. We have a team of digital account managers. They're really focused on digital strategy. So with those 10 different brands, they have larger marketing strategies and brand strategies, and our digital account managers help translate those into how we execute digitally. We have a digital advertising team. That's what you commonly think of when you think of digital marketing, Amazon ads, paid search, display. We have a team focused on, call it special projects. It's kind of our catch-all. So marketplaces, but then some big important pieces of running e-commerce, privacy, contracts, and then SEO and content as well. And then website development. We have a team that's focused on front-end web development and helps set up a lot of our testing that we'll go through in the next couple of slides. Okay, so for website A/B testing, the first thing that I wanted to walk through is just the technology that actually sits behind the scenes to actually pull this stuff off. So from the customer standpoint, if you visit any one of our websites, you're going to see something similar to what you see on the phone here. This is our Montgomery Ward site. But as far as A/B testing goes, we have a number of things that are playing into how we execute those tests. So we have our e-commerce platform, which is Salesforce. We're capturing browsing data to help inform our testing engine. We also are providing transactional data, customer information, and product information into that testing engine. And then Interaction Studio is the actual platform that we're using to help change and modify the content on the site to test one piece of content versus another, one message versus another, or actually personalize various parts of the site for specific customers. Very, very important part of A/B testing is analytics. So we've automated all of this. So while we're making and setting up all of these tests, we want to know as quickly as possible how they're working. And really the important thing that we're looking at here is 3 metrics, and we're looking at the incremental difference in these. So we measure the incremental sales per customer, the incremental profit per customer, and the incremental pull, which is our conversion rate. Pull is an old catalog term. And we run bootstrapping on that on a daily basis to understand if something's statistically significant or not. So I'll walk through a couple of different things that we're doing on our websites as far as personalization and testing. So a very important part of our business is our credit plan, where we have a private label credit program that we offer directly to our consumers. The vast majority of people who shop with any of our brands will use that credit program. If you're familiar with Klarna, Affirm, Afterpay, any of those, we've been doing something similar to that since the 80s. So the couple of tests that I'm going to go through here are going to be looking at what we're doing with this header banner on our website. So the default that we've been doing for years and years is this buy now, pay later with Ward's Credit, learn more. Well, what we wanted to test is that message really makes sense for somebody who is not familiar at all with our credit program. But if we know a customer is already purchasing from us and has a credit account, do they really want to learn more about credit? Or is there something else that we can do to help get that customer where they want to go faster? So the first test that we did was on each of our brands. You can see some examples of the control message. We wanted to test for customers where we know they have a credit account. What if we give them a message that's manage your account, log in, so that they can make a payment, they can check their order status, those type of things. And we saw a pretty significant pickup in those 3 metrics that I was talking about a few slides ago. So then we thought, well, all right, let's take it another step. We went into what we called the credit waterfall test. So again, customers who we know have a credit account with us, there's people at various stages in that relationship with us. So there are people who are past due and owe money on their account. There are people who have an order that has not shipped yet because it's waiting on a down payment. There are people who are over their credit limit. And then there are people who have a zero balance. So what we did is we created this waterfall to test against that manage your account message, giving a very specific call to action. So if you're past due, sign up for auto pay, never miss a payment. If you have a down payment on your order that we're waiting on, action may be required, check your order status. Again, just trying to provide a more personalized, relevant message based on the customer segment visiting the site. So we also sell product, and I'll give an example of a test that we're doing on our homepage, and we've actually rolled out into this test version across most of our sites. So again, forever, we've always had this big hero image on the site. So in this case, we're seeing this cookware set. And the hypothesis was that what are the chances that person who is visiting the site is interested in, number one, cookware, number two, that specific set of cookware. So we're relevant to a very, very small percentage of the people visiting this page. So we thought, well, what if we give them more options and help them get to where they want to go faster? So we tested these category tiles for some of our top categories on the site. And we saw almost a 10% increase in sales per visit on our website just by changing that content on the site. So now we're going to continue to take that further, just like that other test that I went through. And can we use affinities to actually show different categories based on what we know the person is interested in? So if the person is interested in home decor, show that. If somebody's interested in women's fashion, show our apparel sections. We also do promotional offer testing. This is a really, really important one. And I included a little snapshot of what we saw with this type of testing. So we, in general, are not a very promotional company. We don't have a lot of offers that we run. When we do run offers, really what we're trying to do typically is either acquire more customers, new customers, or we're trying to move inventory. And in this case, that's really what the objective was to move inventory. We were sitting on some excess inventory and wanted to get it out the door. So we ran a test with this offer, $20 off a $50 order. And what we saw was a significant pickup in sales and pull, which you would expect, but we actually saw a significant loss in profit compared to not having the offer. So it's really important when you think about those offers that you're doing the offer with the right objective in mind. In this case, we were willing to take an incremental decrease in profit to help move that inventory out of the warehouse. We also do website functionality testing. This is a really fun one. So when somebody visits one of our product pages, the add to cart button is not necessarily always on the page. So especially on mobile, as you start scrolling, you'll get past the image, you'll get past the title of the product, and then you'll get to the add to cart button. So what we're testing here, again, using that testing platform, is a sticky add to cart. So on desktop, we stick the add to cart button at the top. On mobile, we're sticking it on the bottom. We're actually able to, again, run an A/B test on this to understand, does that improve the customer experience? So that's a test that's live right now on our sites. And then we're also testing product recommendations. And this is in a couple of different ways. This is an example of product recommendations in emails, again, using affinities for each customer to recommend products that they might be interested in. And then on our website, product recommendations on various places, homepage, product page. Again, the thought being here, this only shows if somebody lands on a product page. If they've browsed to this Keurig coffee maker, we won't show this carousel. But if they've landed, again, the thought is, okay, they landed here. What if the Keurig coffee maker isn't the exact one they're looking for? let's show some options so that they can stay on the site and not immediately bounce. All right, that's what I got.
All right, thank you, Kevin. So, yes, let's give him a round of applause. Thanks for sharing some of those insights. So I'm going to ask if Kevin, Ben, and Bill, if you guys could grab a seat at one of those chairs in the middle. And I know there is a question online here in terms of, and Ben, maybe I'll direct this specifically at you, but others can weigh in as well. So if someone has adopted the Amazon Analytic, does it still make sense for that marketer to explore data in Google Analytics, other analytics platforms? You kind of talk about when you're using all the, I guess, Amazon data, why there's maybe still value in using other data too.
Definitely. And I think it's all about intent. If you're searching on Amazon, you're already in the market likely to buy something, unless you're going to check out reviews for something in store. So there is definitely value in still using Google Analytics in, are people searching for replacement parts for your product? Are they looking for support, or is it simply a different customer base on your website or a Walmart.com? The way people search for things on Amazon are going to be slightly different than a Walmart.com. So you have to take into account each of the sources and that the intent of the customer might be slightly different. So I think Amazon is a good starting point. It's like a good catch-all for driving sales. But at the end of the day, you may have to tweak your strategy slightly, and the more data, the better. I think a more broad approach is always going to be a positive.
Great. All right. Well, if there are audience questions, I will entertain those. But, both companies, or really all three companies, talked about some of the different things that you're doing, but maybe you can just comment on other trends that you might see right now as far as digital marketing, either specific to your industry or just digital marketing in general. So Kevin, I'll maybe start with you.
Sure. So I jotted down a couple of notes. I got this question ahead of time. So I would say a couple of things that we've struggled with recently as far as trends are concerned is there's definitely a lot of talk in the industry about AI, machine learning, ChatGPT, all of that. But what we've noticed specifically within Google and Google Ads is kind of this push toward more of these black box type campaign strategies. And I guess I would just throw out a word of warning or caution on those. What Google has started to do in general, so Performance Max is one example, smart shopping campaigns is another example. But what they're really trying to do is create an easy way to have an advertiser set up one campaign, get more inventory out of them, more advertising dollars out of them, and make it easier for that advertiser. On the flip side, what it ends up doing for the advertiser is you lose visibility and control into where exactly your investments are going and what your actual ROI is on any of those individual investments. So I would say that's a general trend, is just this machine learning AI black box. Again, trying to make things easier, but in reality, if you have a sophisticated marketing department, it can make things actually harder.
Ben or Bill, any trends either to add on to what Kevin shared or other trends that you're seeing?
I think that I echo everything that Kevin just said on that. And it makes me think, even with what Ben was saying too, around, first party data. And what I mean by that is when people are coming to your site directly, as opposed to say Amazon or even Walmart, having that information about those people is becoming more and more important. It's always been important, but it's even more important because it's becoming more challenging sometimes to get that information. We have, while Amazon is great with the information they give you, they only take it up to a point. They use all the data they have about our customers, and we don't get all the data about our customers. So it's kind of it's the place you want to sell, but you don't want to be there either. But at the same time, so, the role of Amazon, I think, is something that is to watch, because I think there's going to be changes there. Even ourselves, we're really, really focusing more, on our D2C efforts and what we're doing there. We can't ignore Amazon because we sell a lot of things there. A lot of companies are in that place. But the more that we can do direct, we know more about our customers. So I think that's something that you'll continue to see. Maybe it swings back at some point, but I think it's just going to, have the importance around really knowing those people that are buying from you.
And to kind of go off of that, I think it is now more important than ever for businesses to really kick their digital marketing into high gear and stay ahead of the curve. What are the trends? What's the new, how is the new search algorithm affecting my listings? Take any product category on Amazon, do a search. If you notice that 15 out of the 20 products on the page all look exactly the same, it's highly likely they're all coming out of the same factory. It is incredibly difficult, even for established brands, to compete with drop shippers from all over the globe right now. So even for brands that are doing upwards of hundreds of millions of dollars a year, they are still competing with some very quick and nimble drop shippers out of China. That's a team of 2 people. And all they're doing is investing in pay-per-click and promotions. Doing that for a matter of 2 months can have that product on the front page of Amazon for a keyword. So again, you really need to maintain a content schedule, keep your content up to date, optimize, because there are people out there that are going to be gunning for you. And they, again, a side note on Amazon, if it looks like a brand kind of just took their keyboard and threw it against the wall, because it's a bunch of random letters, it's likely what they did. A big thing since COVID happened is, since a lot of product wasn't getting shipped directly to the US or brands pulled back on purchase orders, those factories took their business direct to Amazon on the third-party marketplace. In order to sell a product on Amazon, you need a trademark. So easiest way to get a trademark is picking something that nobody else has. A bunch of random characters put together. So what I'm getting at is, it is incredibly important for digital marketing right now and being good at it, because the explosion of marketplaces on Amazon, on Walmart, on eBay, on Best Buy, it's getting harder and harder to establish your brand.
Maybe I'm going to skip past the next question, although I'm curious what myth you would have highlighted. Can you talk about, for students that are either looking for internships or entry-level positions, what are some of the key skills that they should be developing so that they can help brands as they need to really ramp up on digital marketing? Evan, I'll start with you.
All right, so I've got a handful of them. So I would say one, that I call it a skill, but be inquisitive, be willing to ask questions, not afraid to ask the dumb question when you don't necessarily understand something. Willingness to learn, not afraid to try. It's an industry where things change really, really quickly, and you have to be willing to be uncomfortable. Try something, see if it works, fail fast, and just always be comfortable with change as well. I say quite often that it's really interesting every once in a while to look back 6 months or 12 months ago, and the stuff that we're doing today is completely different than the stuff we were doing 6 months ago or 12 months ago. So again, I don't know that those are necessarily skills, but they're qualities that I think definitely are important when working in this type of role.
I'd echo that and say I don't really have a skill to mention. The only thing I really had was be resourceful. I don't care if you know the answer to the question. If you can figure it out, that's what businesses are looking for. If it's, I don't know what to do, that's not a great answer. Come back to me with what you think we should do. Google it. We've gotten real good at Google. Come on, let's figure it out.
Bill, anything different? I love this, you know, instead of skills, you're right. These qualities of always being willing to learn and resourcefulness is important. Anything to add, Bill?
I just echo all that, and it's really soft skills that we're talking about, right? It's the ability to work with others. It's the ability to learn. It's the ability to be accountable. You know, the hard skills, the technical side, you'll learn that. You'll get opportunities to learn that. You're learning some of it now, I'm sure. So, but just making sure you're focused on those soft skills, that's what will set you apart.
Right. And so I'll wrap up with one last question for each of you. So parting words of wisdom or advice for those, again, looking to start their, I'm going to say marketing career, but obviously digital marketing, but just a marketing career. What parting words of wisdom or advice do each of you have?
I'll go first. I think just remember that it's a lot of fun. I mean, I know that sounds weird, but it's, you know, you'll get bogged down on the day-to-day, you know, and looking at, you know, what do the metrics look like today? What are our KPIs? How are they performing, right? We have to deliver this. We have to do this. We got this deadline. All of that stuff is just going to be normal. But at the end of the day, you know, winning, you know, helping the team close that sale on the B2B side, or, you know, driving your conversion rates higher on the B2C side, those are the things that are fun, right? And you get an opportunity to test and do those things. So it's, you know, it's, in my mind, it's, you know, just one of those things that every day may not be a great day, but it's always going to be fun.
We are number 4. The advice I give you guys as you're really looking to get into digital marketing career is don't get mesmerized by the big brands, the big businesses, the Targets. I'm not going to discount any sponsors that AMA may have, but don't discount the small to medium-sized businesses. And while it might not be the glamorous job you may think you're getting at a bigger company, the exposure you get throughout the business, being able to directly work with product management or seeing how things are shipped out of the warehouse and how can we improve processes. It's really, those are the experiences you can take anywhere else. If you decide to move on from that job, all of the things you've learned from seeing every single aspect for how profitable are my ads, what is this advertisement or this banner on my A+ page, what did that actually do to sales? Being able to kind of see the entire business as a whole really kind of builds out how you make intelligent decisions in your day-to-day job and skills that you can take going forward.
And I've got 2 quick ones. First one would be get really, really comfortable with data and math. It really doesn't matter what you go into. Those are going to come in handy in almost any job. So get really comfortable with data and math. And then the other one is, and you've probably heard this from some professors here, is networking is really, really, really important. So make connections, remember how you know somebody, because it's amazing how many times you'll go back and be able to bounce an idea off of somebody, or, you know, ask somebody for a favor or ask them for advice on something. Building up that network of peers, very, very important to help kind of grow your career.
Great. Again, let's thank Kevin, Ben, and Bill for sharing different information about digital marketing. So speaking of networking, I would strongly encourage you in a couple of minutes to come down and network with these three individuals. But again, one of the questions as you fill out the form, if you are interested in, we're going to give away $1,500 next week, Wednesday. The competition prompt to those that are interested will be sent out either later tonight or probably tomorrow, more likely. So as you fill out the form, again, for attendance tracking, last question should ask you if you're interested. If you're not sure, click yes. We'll confirm later on whether or not you want to participate in that. But again, thanks to our corporate partners on the digital marketing side. And again, I would encourage you to come down and speak with them. I think Avery has a couple of other announcements.
Yeah, before I change slides, did everybody get this? Okay. So we have board interviews coming up for AMA. They're going to be the week of April 10th, that Monday through Thursday. The applications are out. We're going to plan to email those just so you guys aren't filling out 2 QR codes back to back tonight. So current board and any new members should be filling this out. And if you are wondering what the positions are, you're not sure, you can come talk to me, any of our divisional presidents, or really anybody that you know in AMA can help you out with that. And then our weekly schedule in case anybody wants to attend some of our divisional meetings. That is it from me. So thank you all for coming tonight.
Again, encourage you to come down and speak and network with our corporate partners.